Hey everyone, JagTagger93 here with another review. This one is a review of the 2017 Megawad, I Hate My Neighbors. It was made by Chamelenoel and AnonimVio. I apologize if I mispronounced any of that. Now this Megawad took several months to complete, and the authors were awesome in regularly streaming the building process and work that went to this Megawad. The completed product is admittedly a bit inconsistent, but for the most part it's pretty top notch in its details and its charm. Now first off, I'll start with the good. Upon starting this WAD, you'll hear a very familiar jingle if you're familiar with the Persona 4 games, the Junes tune. And Lord knows if I ever went on a killing spree and killed my neighbors, I'd want that jingle playing. The accompanying title screen here is really just gold. And really the music selection throughout this entire WAD is excellent. Some of my favorites again being the Junes theme, the theme to Map 1, the Alice in Chains rendition of Man in the Box in Map 21, and there's also some really nice set pieces throughout this map as well, so some nice things to look at. Again, some standouts being the Unholy Shrine or Throne Room in Map 2, the Blood Fountain in Map 8, the Lake of Fire at the very start of Map 21 is also really cool. And I also appreciated the amount of quirky charm and details in this Megawad, which can be seen right away at the start, when it's time to pick a difficulty setting. Now, I learned the hard way that there is absolutely no shame whatsoever in playing this one on Grandma mode. Now, I stupidly chose Damn That's Hard, first time playing this, thinking it would be like Ultraviolence, which in most WADs is not really much of a problem as it's a setting for experienced players. So first time through I picked that as my difficulty, and for the first few maps, didn't have too much of a problem. Sure, the difficulty was slowly increasing, but it was gradual, again, no problem. Although here and there were small little signs that it was going to get nasty. There were a couple of really sneaky ambushes in the first 10 maps that made me think, that really surprised me. Good thing the author wasn't feeling mean there. I was really caught unaware, and that could have been a lot harsher. Those instances were just subtle clues that the author definitely knew what they were doing in placing enemies, that there was a definite strategy to what was being placed and where, and things were going to get a bit meaner. So I really didn't have much of a problem until about map 11. There I got caught in a spot where I could not advance due to being really low in health, and not having an environmental suit, and having to go through radioactive waste. Didn't have anywhere else to go but there. It was really annoying having to restart this map from scratch from the beginning, as I didn't have any saves during. And this was a signal to me that it was only going to get harder from here on out. And it did. Map 16 is where the difficulty really starts to spike. Here you come to a point where you're fighting an Archvile, and after defeating him you get your hands on a medkit and some ammunition. Nice! But then it springs a monster trap, which is just awful. You're in a very small area, you got tons of rockets, great, but again, a small area with tons of demons. That was not a good time. Map 17 was also very challenging too, but after much trial and error I found a trick to it that really helped me with one specific area that was giving me a lot of problems. The area I'm talking about in map 17 is right about where you find the yellow skull key. If you grab it, it causes an ambush of demons in the small area, plus an Archvile right there too. And no matter what I did, which direction I sprinted, or what enemies I prioritized, or how much monster fighting I tried to trigger, nothing at all seemed to work. That is until I realized that if you move really close to the key but don't actually touch it, it causes some of the monsters to come out. And this is a huge help. You take them out first, and then after you take them out, then you grab the key, then you can deal with the rest of the monsters in the Archvile. Once I figured that out, I had some renewed confidence that maybe there were some exploits in this game that I just had to pick up on. In the next map, map 18, I had a similar experience at the very end. You come to a cyber demon in the map, but you probably don't want to take him out because he'll just be taking your ammunition. You need that for later, so I let him be, and I took him on at the very end of the map. And when you take him on, you're on a small platform with some pillars. Now you could bring the pillars down, but at first I didn't. I figured I want those pillars up to keep them as cover. The thing is though, if you keep them as cover, they're so small and there's so little room to move on this platform that moving behind them means you're going to be taking some splash damage. It was a lot smarter to lower the pillars and then just go to the exit. And again, that was a little trick I picked up on that helped a lot, so I thought, you know what, I'm starting to figure this out. I'm starting to find these little tricks. You know, the key trick that helped me with that Archvile ambush, I figured it out. The Cyber Demon fight wasn't too bad. If I just keep going, this author put in these little things to help us along, and I can do this. And then map 19 happened, and oh boy, yeah, this is where, after much dying and dying and dying, I tapped out, and I had to lower the difficulty setting. Now, I'm not saying map 19 is impossible on Damn That's Hard mode, and there very well might be some exploit here that I didn't figure it out, but no, this map broke me. It really did. The only health pickups I found were the generously placed Mega Spear at the very beginning of the map, and there were 2 stims packs placed as a secret behind a pair of Mancubi towards the end. Each time I played this map, I got stuck right before the Archvile in the blue door I had very little ammunition and very little health. Making it past him means having to fight your way through another onslaught of demons to the last key and then to the exit. There are 2 secrets to find, the last one being the 2 stims that I mentioned, which at that point is just too little too late, and the first secret being some ammunition, which is nice, but even with that it wasn't enough. I really think that if a soul sphere or heck even a handful of health or armor bonuses were here, this map would be very challenging, but not feel nearly as infuriating. While I don't hate my neighbors personally, I'm sure that they all hate me now for how much F-bombs I was dropping at this map. Again, it starts off very interesting. You have to take on a spider mastermind and a bunch of demons, trigger some monster infighting and you get through, but you know, with all the monster infighting in the world, you'll be spurning quite a bit of ammunition. And you'll be taking some damage too, and not a single health kit in sight until, well, the stims if you can find them and survive that far. Just brutal. So from there I went down to Grandma mode, which is the first difficulty setting, and I was hoping for a more forgiving but still challenging experience, which thankfully is what I got. The last couple maps were still pretty challenging even on that setting. The ending though, the last map, was a bit disappointing. It's basically a very simple elevator section down to the Icon of Sin. Although kudos to the authors for changing the reverse dialogue and Romero head here though. I thought that was really cool. Also, map 31 and 32 are here and they've been replaced, but they're really not worth your time, I hate to say it. Map 31 is just a very ugly looking nuts type of map, you know, one of those maps with just 1,000+ enemies and just looks hideous. And map 32 is all about lovely first person balancing and platforming, Doom style. Terrible. So as a whole, I Hate My Neighbors is a challenging and mixed experience. Most of the levels, though, look terrific. There's tons of great set pieces. Again, some of the levels just look great, make great use of lighting, stupendous use of lighting, actually, to mask enemies and really build tension. And the real-world environments here as well look really nice when you do see them. The item placement could have been better, but the enemy placement was damn nice. Really liked the amount of thought that went into player progression and difficulty progression. And the maps do have a progression to them in terms of difficulty and gameplay. There's some repeated motifs, again with traps and ambushes, that are repeated again and again, so there's a definite style here in terms of gameplay. But in terms of aesthetics though, there's not really much of a progression at all. What I mean by that is maps don't really flow into each other. They just seem kind of disjointed, stylistically speaking. So what I mean is, for example, you see a boat twice in this Megawad. You use a boat to leave in map 14, but you enter map 9 on a boat. So that just seems kind of odd. If I was going to have that boat type, thing going on, I would have a map end with the player getting on a boat and have the very next map start with getting off the boat. Some maps you'll start in a urban area and just come to a cathedral-like environment, or you'll end in a cathedral-like environment and go to a very weird-looking base-type environment, so the aesthetics are kind of all over the place, but I think that's kind of on purpose. Again, this Megawad has a very, very weird charm to it, and that's highlighted with the clips of narration you'll get throughout. Now, as for why you have to die when this happens, it's in story, I don't know. It is very annoying though, having to lose your items and weapons when that happens. I actually was really annoyed how when you complete map 20, I finished it with quite a bit of ammo and health, but I didn't get to keep it because by narration the player character dies and then resurrects again for map 21, so you're down to your pistol. Really annoying. Map 21 looks gorgeous, by the way. I really like the Lake of Fire at the very beginning of it, and everything about it just looks awesome, but it would have helped if I had a bit more of an arsenal at the beginning. In any event, I Hate My Neighbors earns a very solid 8 out of 10. Tons of detail, tons of charm to this, and tons of thought into enemy placement, and very challenging. Again, it's not impossible. Some parts are very unfair, I'll admit that, and there is some trial and error gameplay, but this is one of those kind of megawatts that you'll play, and you'll play for about an hour, maybe two, just pause, come back to it, and then after beating it on an easier skill level, you feel like you gotta play on a harder one. And I definitely recommend, again, playing this on Grandma mode. And that is why also my rating of 8 out of 10, I throw in a walker for those people that are playing it for the first time. Again, do it on Grandma mode. That's not much of an insult. I mean, hell, it's Doom, right? Most of us who played this back when it was new are now old enough to be parents, if not grandparents by now. So we're all, a bit up there in age. Well, that's all that I really have to say about it. Thank you all for watching. This is JagTagger93 signing out. You have a good one.